He never expected a simple walk in the park to change his life. For him, mornings were always the same. The same street, the same empty sky, the same quiet house waiting for him when he came back. But that morning, something felt different, as if the world was holding its breath. And his old golden retriever, Max, already knew something he did not. The park was quiet, only soft birdsong in the distance, long shadows stretching across the path, and two small silhouettes, a man and his dog, walking side by side. For years, his life had grown smaller and smaller. Work, home, sleep, the same lonely kitchen, the same empty chair across the table, the same cold, half-finished cup of coffee. On the wall, a framed photograph of his late wife, Anna, caught the morning light, dust floating in the air like tiny memories. Always there, always just out of reach. Every morning, his hand still poured 2 cups of coffee by habit, one for himself, and one for the person who was no longer there. Then he would quietly empty her cup into the sink, pretending it did not hurt. The house was not broken. The furniture was not broken. Only his heart was. And the silence inside those walls grew heavier with each passing year. On a rainy afternoon, when even the ticking clock sounded tired, he went to the animal shelter, not because he wanted a dog, but because he could no longer bear the sound of his own silence. There were young dogs, jumping, barking, begging for attention. But in the back, an older golden retriever lay quietly, eyes sad, but gentle, like he had already seen enough of life. The volunteer said he lost his family in an accident. Nobody came back for him. People usually want puppies, not an old boy like him. Thomas looked into the dog's eyes, and in that silent moment, 2 lonely souls recognized each other. "So," he whispered, "it is just you and me now, isn't it, boy?" Max wagged his tail, not wildly, just once, slow and sure, and walked out of the shelter by his side. They built a quiet routine together, mornings with coffee and a newspaper. Max curled up at his feet, the ticking clock now sounding less like an enemy, and more like a gentle reminder that time was still moving. Some afternoons, Thomas would sit in his old chair, and Max would rest his head on his lap. No words, no big conversations, just 2 hearts, breathing in the same small room. Soft music played on the radio, old songs that reminded him of another life, another version of himself. Max would fall asleep nearby, as if guarding not just the house, but the little bit of peace that remained in it. Over time, small changes began to appear. He had to stop halfway up the stairs, his hand pressing against his chest, his breath a little shorter than before. But he told himself, "It is just age, nothing more." Max watched every pause, every slow breath, every quiet whence he thought no one saw. The dog's eyes followed him with growing concern, full of questions he could not ask out loud. At night, Max slept closer, sometimes right beside the bed, head lifted, eyes open, as if keeping watch over something fragile, something he refused to lose. Then came the morning, when the air felt a little colder, even with the sun slowly rising. The park entrance wrapped in pale light and thin mist, as if the day itself was uncertain about what was about to happen. Thomas walked slower than usual, his steps a little heavy, his hand brushing against his chest, just for a moment, just long enough for Max to notice. Max glanced up at him again and again, ears slightly back, tail low, sensing something wrong. though the path looked the same, and the world pretended nothing had changed. Halfway down the path, Max suddenly stopped, turning his body sideways, blocking the way, his paws planted firmly on the ground. He stepped forward to continue, but Max took his sleeve gently in his mouth and tugged, not playfully, but carefully, again and again, as if saying, "Please, listen to me." Thomas frowned, a mix of confusion and irritation. "Come on, Max. We walk this way every day," he muttered, but the worry in Max's eyes was louder than any bark. Then the pain came, sharp, deep, crushing. His chest felt like it was caught in a tightening fist. His breath turned into broken pieces of air. The world tilted. His legs gave out beneath him. The path rushed up to meet his face, sounds stretching into slow motion, like the whole world was falling with him. Max barked. Once, twice, then again and again. A desperate, breaking sound. Not willing to accept what was happening. Not willing to let this be the end. Max ran, not away from him, but away from his still body, paws pounding against the ground, eyes wild with fear, nose searching for people, for someone, anyone. A jogger slowed down, confused by the barking. Max skidded to a stop in front of him, barking, backing up, then running forward again, begging him to follow. Something in the dog's eyes, in his frantic movements, broke through the man's hesitation, and he followed, his footsteps quickening, as Max led him back to the motionless figure on the ground. Soon, sirens cut through the quiet morning. Paramedics knelt beside him, hands moving quickly, checking his pulse, his breathing, their faces calm, but serious. When they lifted him onto the stretcher, Max tried to climb up too, pressing his body against the metal frame. A paramedic gently held him back. "Easy, boy. We've got him. We'll take care of him." But Max refused to step far away. Through the blur, Thomas saw shapes leaning over him, heard words he could not fully understand, but he could feel one thing clearly: a warm shape pressed against his side, refusing to leave. When he finally opened his eyes, the ceiling was white, too bright, too clean. Machines hummed softly around him, and for a moment, he did not know if he was still alive. His chest hurt, wrapped tightly, every breath a reminder that something inside him had broken, but had not completely given up. Then he turned his head and saw Max, lying beside the bed, head resting on the sheets, eyes half closed, as if he had been guarding him for hours, afraid to blink, afraid to miss a single breath. The doctor entered the room, kind eyes, tired smile. "Mr. Collins," he said softly, "you had a serious heart attack. If help had come a little later, you might not be here today." He glanced at Max and added, "The paramedic said, your dog led someone to you. He never left your side, not even for a second. You owe quite a lot to this old boy." Max lifted his head slightly, as if he understood, his tail moving, just once, quietly. Lying in that hospital bed, he thought of Anna, her laughter at their small kitchen table, the way she held his hand, when life felt too big, too fast, too uncertain. He thought of all the mornings after she was gone, when he woke up, and secretly wished he did not have to live another one, when breathing felt like another chore he was too tired to do. And yet, through all of that, Max had stayed, resting his head on his hand, walking beside him every day, holding on to a life that Thomas himself had almost let go of. He remembered the day he adopted Max, the shelter volunteer, the paperwork on the table, the quiet hope in the dog's eyes, and the promise he had made, "I will not let you be alone again." Now, in this hospital room, he realized Max had made a promise too, a silent one. "I will not let you go either, not while I am still here." When he finally returned home, the house did not feel like a tomb anymore. It felt fragile, but alive, like a story paused, not ended. He placed a new photograph on the table, one of him and Max in the hospital, next to Anna's picture. 3 lives, woven together, in different times, but the same love. The next morning, he poured just 1 cup of coffee, this time on purpose. No second cup out of habit. No silent apology to the empty chair. Just 1 cup, for the life that was still here. He filled Max's water bowl, patted his head, and said softly, "Come on, let's see what today has for us. Together." They walked again, along the same park path, the same trees, the same sky, but everything felt new. Every step was no longer just a routine. It was a choice, a quiet decision, to stay. Life, he realized, was not measured by the size of his achievements or by how many people knew his name. It was measured by who walked beside him, who refused to leave, even when he had almost left himself. For him, it was an old golden retriever who remembered every promise, who saved his life and gently reminded him that even a small, quiet life can still hold a very big meaning.